Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back here. I'm going to be talking the decline of public schools, which is, I wouldn't say, a good milestone, but we need more. And let's talk about that. Let's get straight to the article. More than 1.2 million students left public schools since the pandemic report. While students across the country welcome the coming of summer, many public schools face the harsh reality that student enrollment has sharply declined and doesn't appear to be returning to pre-pandemic numbers. Some schools are even reaching a financial crisis point. According to a recent national survey tracking numbers since 2020, public schools in the U.S. have lost more than 1.2 million students. There are around 50 million students in the public school system across the country, so that's about a 2% drop. Let's get that up to around 20%. What I like to see that by, I like to see about 10%, 13% by the end of this year. Drop. Let's get those numbers up. Let's make sure we get more kids into homeschooling and get their actual education, less indoctrination, and let's get to it. Let's go. Let's go. This is everywhere. But if anything, the trend is concentrated in major urban areas. For example, the Los Angeles Unified School District's non-charter schools saw around 403,000 students leave over the past 2 academic years. Good. And enrollment in Chicago schools has dropped about 25,000 in that same time. Good. There will be less, sexual allegations going on of kids getting, raped because they decided to put boys and girls into the same bathrooms. And that's going to end up well. Okay, wait till I see the report on that one. Over the past 2 years, New York City has seen around 50,000 students leave the public school system. However, cities aren't the only places grappling with this. One district in Olathe, Kansas, a suburb of Kansas City, had more than 1,000 of its students leave in 2020. Out of around 33,000, perhaps even more interesting is that only half of them returned for the school year. Rural areas also are seeing this trend. For example, in Woodbury County, Iowa, student enrollment in the Westwood Community School District declined by more than 5%. Yeah! Let's get up to 20! Let's go! During the last 2 years. It dropped even though the Superintendent Jay Lutt pointed out that the community saw an influx of new residents coming from larger cities during the pandemic. Yeah, we would love to see it. In Michigan, enrollment is still more than 50,000 lower than the numbers from before the pandemic. This is also being seen in other areas like Orange County, California, which has historically been a destination for desirable public schools. Still, enrollment went down for the second year in a row. Across California, more than 250,000 students have gone off the state's public school rolls since 2019. Great. Well, that could also be attributed to people leaving California. There's still a mass exodus coming, and as we can see, there is more people coming up. Are coming up into Northern California and leaving the Bay Area because it's cheaper to live here in the Upper California, which is more red, by the way, and than the Bay Area. So that's also part of the reason why. Well, I guess that wouldn't really attribute to the California across the board. Well, but the people leaving California, that would probably have some effect to it. This was already somewhat of a trend before the pandemic, partly because of low birth rates and less immigration. But these declines in enrollment far exceeded what can be explained by those factors. I would say low birth rates. There's a lot of reasons why there's probably low birth rates. Most probably because the way the dating market is and everything, and how women desire men at certain points where they think I think it's like 80%. Of women find most men undesirable financially. So, I mean, what can you do, man? What can you do? There's also the stark reality that many kids probably just left school altogether because of how much stress the school lockdowns brought on families. That's a possibility, yeah. I could say that. Which would, honestly, that'd still be better for them. They could learn more by going to trade schools and honestly just being on the internet and learning what they want to learn and perfecting their craft and what they enjoy through the internet and learn that way, and probably benefit society better and not being indoctrinated. So honestly, I think that might actually be better in the long run. And besides, there's very little reason to not to homeschool your kids. I mean, you have the internet with you, right? So you can just teach them stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, I would say kids need the basic understanding of basic English, math, and some of the other more important things. But after that, you can start teaching them like the Constitution, the amendments, the how to pay your bills and stuff like that. Like very important things that need to happen. And yeah, have incorporate into maybe some school stuff or whatever. But at the end of the day, like it's just so much better for them to be out of school. You learn so much more because at some point, it's like when you want to breed curiosity, if you want to breed intelligence, you can go online. It's your treasure trove of information that you find and you learn. And not only that, you'll again, I think I said this before, but you get to actively choose on what you want to do, and then you get to learn that craft out of X amount of years that you want to do. I think that's really, really good, in my personal opinion. And you get good at what you do, and you perform, and you not only that, you get experience. But when you're in a school and stuff like that, they want to indoctrinate you. They don't actually teach you anything. It's just awful. That's just awful. There was very little public school attrition in states that did not lock down schools. In Florida, for example, public school enrollment has stayed strong despite considerable gains in homeschooling in the state, which suggests that news centers are finding the spaces of those who left. That's good and bad. Yeah, again, right here, considerable homeschooling in the state. So yeah, so I mean, okay. You guys need to be a little more honest. Okay, so you say it did not go down, but are you sure that like if this didn't go down, but they have considerable gains in homeschooling, are we sure that the public school did go down? It's just it went from homeschooling instead. I want to know if that's actually the truth thing here. So because I'm confused, that would just mean that newer kids or just born kids or whatever are doing homeschool, and the kids that were still there in the schools didn't actually leave. But I would find that hard to believe, so I would find that the schools actually went. I would find it more maybe potentially believable that the kids went from public schools to homeschooling, which is why there was such a huge gain. But again, they don't say, so I have to kind of take the further word for it. But I digress. Which suggests that new students are filling the spaces of those who left. The American Enterprise Institute's analysis also showed that remote learning affected enrollment. It found that in fall 2021, enrollments rebounded in districts that spent 20 to 2020 mostly in person. Those that stayed remote longer, we saw even more students leave. Yeah, well, remote's not good for the most part. I personally like enrollment, but that's probably because I'm an introvert at some point, so that might have some part to do with it. Interestingly, enrollment also increased in rural resort locations since many people started working from remote areas. Only time will tell how many kids fell out of the education system entirely over the pandemic closure period. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, we can definitely find out. Again, we don't know the actual true damage until like I guess one more year or two from now, right? So I guess we're gonna have to find out exactly all this stuff is going on here. By the way, I also have this amazing thing here, which is the enrollment tracker in 2020 through 2022. We have 1,177,000 students left public schools in the 2020 to 2021 school year. This year, some districts grew by 532,000 students. Others shrank by 623,000 students, taking together 1,268,000 students left public school since the pandemic began, which is amazing. Following the spring 2020 school closures, enrollment fell by 5%. Over and 1 in 40 students in fall 2021 enrollments rebounded districts that spent 2020 mostly in person. Those stay remote longer. Blah blah blah. Pretty much what we said in the Daily Wire post. Don't know why this just disappeared. That was just, okay, odd. So all this stuff is going down here. Why is it doing that? Okay, well, we're just not going to touch the chart then. Avoid the chart, guys. So yeah, we see the upgrades here. So yeah, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, guys, that's good. We should definitely be homeschooling our kids a lot more often. This will help curb the actual indoctrination. Of course, we all know that they'll try to put in fucking laws or something to where your kids have to go to public schools or something, because you know that's how the government works. Psychotic people. But I like this. Let's get more people up. We have about 330 or 320 million people. I want to have like fucking shit. I want at least 200 million people out of the schools. All right, out of public schools and into homeschooling. That's what I want. I know that's a very tall and ambitious order, but that's what I want. I mean, in 2 years we already got 2 million people out, so maybe in a decade or so we will have more. So we'll see. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.